Hey y'all, thanks for stopping by. So, for a long time, people have made jokes about cancel culture. This idea that you can't say things online without people hunting down your job and getting you fired. And I'll admit, some people take that too far. Like stan culture and stuff like that, when you have disagreements about musicians or arguments about who streamed more or who sold more records, who's more deserving of a accolade or something like that, you shouldn't be getting people fired over that stuff. This is where the phrase "we can disagree but still be friends" actually should come into play. Conservatives love to complain about cancel culture for the longest time. They said that this was the way that leftists and liberals like to silence their opposition because you can't handle it in the open marketplace of ideas, so you would make it so people are afraid to say what's on their mind. But conservatives don't have a problem with cancel culture. If you want to call it consequence culture, however you want to look at it. They would just say it with a more vulgar phrasing. FAFO. Rhymes with muck around and find out. And this is actually coming back for a reckoning. Cancel culture strikes again. We're bringing it back for the new year. I don't think it's ever anything that should have left. This idea that free speech means you can say anything you want without repercussions is ridiculous. We all should be held to the same standards as everyone else, and when you say heinous things online, you should expect a response for it. Just the other day, when in my video about mask off moments, I talked about this Groyper leader, Nick Fuentes, and his "your body, my choice" line, and all of his supporters will say that's a joke. They'll just say he was trolling. They want to have as much ambiguity with that as possible. But there were some real world repercussions behind that with the way that people, young people, were saying this at their classmates and people on the street and even people online. This message started getting pumped out to lots of people across the country and around the world. Well, Nick Fuentes is facing some consequences for his actions because his address was doxxed. Your Equifax report, my choice, I guess. I'm not going to post his information on here. It's actually a TOS violation to do that stuff, and it is a TOS violation on Twitter to do that stuff as well. Anybody who's posting that is likely to have their account suspended for it. But these are the consequences of your actions. When you make these sorts of wild statements and threats at people, what do you think's going to happen? You love the FA part, but you don't like the FO part. You're in the find out stage right now. And this extends to the people who listen to you. I saw this post floating around of a guy named Noah, a student from the University of Toronto, who was sending lots of heinous messages to people, calling women whores, saying they don't have control over their body, saying that he would assault them, saying that he would hunt them down. And one person who I follow on Twitter took matters into her own hands and decided to send these messages to his university, to the people who are over his specific degree, to his family, to his girlfriend. The FA part's real fun for you, but the FO part is not. I think this is probably the best way to stop this sort of mindset from spreading. That you have to understand there are consequences for your actions, for the things you say. That free speech doesn't mean you can just do whatever you feel like. You live in the same world as the rest of us, and your anonymity won't last you long if you keep saying stuff like this. There's a part of me that feels concerned about covering stuff like this because doxing can be turned on people who aren't saying heinous things. Doxing as a weapon is typically used to silence minority groups and disenfranchised people into silence. It's used by sites like Kiwi Farms to hunt down trans people, to make their lives as horrible as possible, to almost goad them into self-harm. I think we can all see a difference in harassing somebody for their existence versus being harassed for harassing people. It's a consequence of your actions. This is something we should all agree with. And if you don't, I think you should go back through your whole timeline and delete all your fuck around and find out posts. Because obviously you don't believe it. You only want consequences for people who don't believe the same stuff as you, who don't think the same way as you. I don't think wickedness is limited to one ideology. I think bad people come in all flavors, and all of these people should face consequences for their actions and their words. So if you have people who are sending you this kind of stuff, who are using their free speech rights to their advantage to be a nasty person, name them, shame them, burn them, because that's what they deserve. If they want to fuck around, they can find out. We'll bring back cancel culture in 2025 and we'll keep it running the way that it should be, to hold people to light. to make it so they can't hide behind their anonymity behind a screen. We're going to find you. You should be found. You should be afraid to say this kind of stuff online. I can't stop you from thinking heinous thoughts, but you should be stopped from threatening other people, from making people be afraid, from turning the internet into a place that should be a place to share cultures, to share ideas, into a place for you to terrorize others and to ruin people's days, ruin people's lives. I don't feel bad for you if you lost your job or if you lost your scholarships for you being nasty to people online. My mom always taught me if you don't have anything nice to say, you shouldn't say anything, and maybe the rest of you need to learn that lesson. But I guess until we start seeing more consequences for these people, y'all try to have a good day.